At the beginning of the movie, we see Ebru's footage of the first day for a special case. She tells that she was called here by an exorcist named Faruk, and he is currently performing an exorcism on a woman whose body is allegedly possessed by a 13-year-old jinn. She then enters the room and begins filming the seance, where Faruk is trying to expel that jinn, but that jinn threatens them that he will destroy their house. Faruk recites prayers, causing the jinn to flare up, and it tries to attack them, and when Faruk tries to catch it, it flees. Now when he comes out, the villagers point him towards a house, and Faruk asks Ebru to stay behind him, as it could be dangerous. Inside, he finds Hadis moaning in pain in the dark, and he puts a sheet over her. He then takes some weird stuff out of her mouth and asks her not to be afraid as it's over, and then he shows that stuff on the camera. Later, he tells the villagers not to mess with charms and spells and not to engage in witchcraft, as they could get in all sorts of trouble. Now the next day, Ebru goes to meet Faruk at his house, and while setting up the camera, she asks him what had happened to that woman from yesterday. He tells her that she started being afraid of water for no reason, and she began threatening everyone around her. Her family told him that the meds she was prescribed made her worse. Ebru tells him that she will get a patient to him who the doctors couldn't cure. He will tell and perform, and she is going to observe, examine, and film things. He asks her if he will cure her patient, will she acknowledge the existence of jinn? To which she says this will be a scientific study. He then asks her how did she see what happened yesterday? To which she says she has some suspicions and he could have set up the whole thing. Later, she gives him the file of the patient named Kübra, her childhood friend, which she has chosen for him to cure, and they are going to 𝐂𝐻𝐿 village. Now it is night while reaching there, and they also lose their way, and Ebru jokingly asks Faruk to ask the jinns for directions. Faruk tells her that they must be watching them right now, as this place is ideal for them. Suddenly they hear the cry of a woman from the bushes, and at the same time, the camera also malfunctions. Both of them leave towards that voice, and Ebru also picks up her camera. On going some distance, her camera records two red eyes when suddenly someone growls and attacks her, due to which she gets terrified, but the next moment, it disappears from there. Faruk tries to calm her down saying it's gone, and she tells him to go and let's get out of there. They both sit back in their car and leave there, and Ebru felt that it was some animal. They then stop at a place where Faruk prays, and they also find a Masonic sign there, and he explains to her that when villagers' animals died in great numbers for no reason, they would make sacrifices and wash the soil with blood and then place the bones like this. They also find weird things hanging on a tree, and Faruk shows her that the number 7175 is carved on that tree, saying some wish trees are just for evil. Only then does Ebru start feeling dizzy and she faints. Now when they again leave for Kübra's house, they meet a shepherd on the way, from whom they ask the way to her house. He tells them the way and then they leave there. But after some distance, Ebru sees something that Faruk was not able to see, and when she asks him to record it on the camera, they see the same shepherd they had left a few miles back, and there was someone else also with him. Finally, after going a little further, they find Rafika, Kübra's mother, who is waiting for them along with her elder daughter Esra and her daughter. Rafika brings them to her home and is very happy that Faruk has come from so far to help them. Then her sister Fatima also comes there, but she angrily asks Ebru to turn off the camera and yells at her for bringing Faruk there. Rafika gets angry and asks her to stop saying that her daughter was in the hospital for a year and nothing changed, and asks her to stay out of this, to which Fatima says if something happens to her, they are all to blame for that. Faruk tries to explain to her that if they can't do anything, they will pray and leave. After she leaves, Ebru calms Rafika and tells her that if this camera is causing problems, she will try to find another way. But Rafika asks her to do whatever she can to cure Kübra. Later, she sets up the cameras in the house, and Faruk says that they are going down to the village to kill some time and then they will see Kübra. They meet some of the villagers there, and Ebru asks Osman what exactly happened to Kübra, to which he says she has been possessed by a jinn. Only then a man stops him and tells them that their village has nothing to do with these incidents, and asks them to get out of there. Now when they return home, Esra shows them the footage of the celebration of Kübra's henna night, and they see that Kübra suddenly start behaving strangely, and then she goes to another room, which people do not notice. But after some time she comes back out and looks very angry, and then she attacks her husband to be Erdal with a knife and kills him in front of her entire family. Esra asks Faruk if he can tell what Kübra is saying there. to which he tells it's Aramaic language. Now when he starts to note it, he notices that it means 7175, and this is the same number they saw on that wish tree. Ezra tells them one night Kübra walked all the way out there in her sleep. Farak immediately goes out to look at the house from outside and says there is something in this house, and there he notices Kübra watching him from her room. They then go to her room where Kübra gets emotional seeing Ebru. Ebru brings her downstairs and tells her that she is here as her friend and a doctor. Farak asks her what happened on that henna night, to which she says she remembers hearing a woman's voice, and she kept saying kill Erdal. He then asks her why she went to the wish tree that night, to which she says she doesn't remember, but a coffin swims before her eyes when she thinks about that night. She is inside it and can't breathe, and then she dies, and then she is reborn as a baby with a single eye on her forehead. Later, Rafika tells them that Kübra was very pretty when she was little. She had charms made and hung evil eye beads all around the house, but still, she couldn't protect her. Farak asks her permission to throw all the evil eye beads, as they are the elixir of strength for the devil and the jinns. Ebru asks him why he is in a hurry, to which he says the jinns will be more aggressive now that they are here, so he must solve this before anything befalls Kübra. They then all go to Kübra's room, where he tells her that they will pray to God together to rid her of all this evil. He then asks them to turn off the light, and Ebru starts recording only on the light of the camera. Farak then reads some prayers on a portion and pours it on her hands, and then asks her to pray by inhaling the smell in her palms. As she does so, the house begins shaking and her hands begin burning. They all get terrified seeing this, and Farak begins reading prayers, asking God to protect her from the wrath of the jinns. After a while, she becomes possessed and jumps off the bed. Farak throws a black cloth over her, and she growls and turns towards him. He then puts his hand inside that cloth, and suddenly she grabs his hand and says something in another language. Now when he takes his hand out, he shows them something written on his palm with blood. He then shows them the same thing written in a book, and it means mirror. He reads if a jinn completely possesses the body of a young person, it sends a message that says mirror. He then says he needs an empty room, 2 mirrors, and candles. Now that night when everyone is sleeping, the jinn again possesses Kübra, and we see a shadow entering the house as the lights flicker. We then see her standing in front of a mirror where her reflection moves differently, and the room begins shaking before she leaves the room. Here Farak wakes up by a gust of wind, and then we see Kübra in a room where her mother and sister were sleeping. She stares at Ezra for a while and then looks at the camera before leaving there. Farak comes out to investigate and finds no one there, and as he leaves, we see a shadow quickly moves out. We then see Kübra again leaving the room, but her reflection in the mirror lies down on the bed. The next morning, Ebru suddenly begins coughing during breakfast, and something comes out of her mouth. Rafika gets shocked to see this, and Farak asks Ebru to give it to him, and then he shows it to the camera. Later that night, Farak asks Ezra about the mirrors, as they should start before it gets dark. Ezra brings them to the house and tells him that the mirror is up there. He then begins the calling of jinns by reading some prayers in front of those mirrors. After some time, he tells Ebru that he will go under the veil now, and if she wants, she can give him the camera. She passes him the camera as he goes under the veil, and then he begins calling the jinn. The veil then suddenly flies into the air, and as Farak turns, he tells Ebru that the jinn is right behind her and asks her not to turn around. He hands her over the camera and says don't she ever come near them. He then goes to that corner, and as he asks Jinn what it wants from Kübra, the candles blow out and the mirror shatters. Ebru gets terrified and asks Farak if he is okay, and Ezra and Rafika also enter the room. They find a symbol in the corner, and he tells them when they ask jinns a question, they answer with symbols. Ezra asks what does this symbol mean, to which he tells it means the toilet spell, and it is also called the death spell. He asks them if is there a toilet here that touches the ground and sees the sun, and when he breaks that toilet seat, he takes out some weird stuff including animal parts, a horseshoe, a lock, and some voodoo dolls. Now seeing all this, Rafika and Ezra get very disturbed and they do not understand how and who can do this to their daughter. She asks Fatima who does she think might have done this, to which she says that she should look at her own past. This enrages Rafika and she asks what she is talking about. Later, Ebru says that right now they are at the old house of Rafika, and a while ago they found some items related to witchcraft, such as amulets, charms, dolls, hair samples, and even entrails inside the toilet. This makes her feel that some people other than Farak may be involved in this, but she is not sure yet. Farak then shows them a spell and tells them that hexed and poisoned liquids were sprinkled over the brain, the heart, and the genitals. He also shows the name of Rafika and her husband Bilal on it and tells them it is a fetus spell and it is cast upon a fetus in the mother's womb. He then reads it, which says your fetus will be born cursed. May its father die on the day it is born. 14 days after its 23rd birthday, may the cruelest jinns devour its soul. Ezra says Kübra turned 23 on the henna night, and Ebru asks him if he is saying Kübra was cursed while she was in her mother's womb and it came into effect when she turned 23, to which he says he is not sure about that. Suddenly Kübra comes there screaming and tells them that it's butchering her flesh. Ebru says they need to go to the hospital as she thinks Kübra is suffering from a schizotypal personality disorder, but he tries to explain to her that they found the spells and they are almost done and asks her not to give up now. However, she says she thinks he blurred the view with incense in the mirror room and drew the symbol with the dust himself. 𝐸𝐸 says if he can't save Kübra, all his claims will be wronged and she will prevail, and asks her isn't what she wants. Only then Esra comes there and tells them that Kübra is still terrified and keeps saying she saw it. They all then go to a barn where 𝐸𝐸 will attempt the second exorcism. He begins reading prayers in front of Kübra and asks her if it's still here, to which she says yes. She points towards the side saying it's there, and 𝐸𝐸 asks her if could she describe what she is seeing. She tells him it's a woman with long dark hair and her name is Sarah. He asks her who does she want to kill, to which she says an eye for an eye. Suddenly that horse starts neighing like crazy, and 𝐸𝐸 tells Jinn that there are spells here that have fed her for 24 years, and he swears to God that if she doesn't leave this girl now, he will burn her alive in this cursed place. The Jinn then possesses Kübra and tells him to tell his God that he is not afraid of him. Now as 𝐸𝐸 burns the curse, this enrages the Jinn and it starts screaming very loudly, due to which everyone present there gets terrified. 𝐸𝐸 continues the prayers, and as everything calms down, 𝐸𝐸 tells them that the Jinn is killed and Kübra is saved. Later, Rafika thanks 𝐸𝐸 saying that she hadn't seen her daughter this well for years. Esra asks if could they find out about the people who cast the spell, to which he says Kübra is saved and that's all that matters. Now that night, Ebru says that 𝐸𝐸 subdued or killed the Jinn called Sarah during the seance he conducted. Surprisingly, Kübra's blood pressure and pulse look normal. She feels that she doesn't feel the Jinn in her body or around her after all those years and she feels fine. And suddenly the camera falls. Now that night, a door shuts automatically and the camera in Kübra's room falls and she gets possessed by the Jinn again. She then flies into the storeroom and picks up her wedding dress and the knife that she used to kill her husband. We then see her in that dress staring at the camera saying something. When Fatima comes there to check her, suddenly she attacks her and slashes her face. Other comes out hearing the commotion and finds Fatima injured on the floor. Esra says Kübra is at the wish tree and they find her there standing inside that Masonic sign. The Jinn says she won't die and will return 1,000 times if they kill her 1,000 times. 𝐸𝐸 manages to get her out of that circle and put her in the car, but Ebru says he is not coming with them as he is a fraud. The next day Fatima returns home and tells him that Kübra is in the hospital and is fine. Now here she reveals that when Ebru was born, her father came and started strangling her in her crib saying the child of the devil. She pushed him and he fell, and then there was black foam coming out of his mouth, and he died in front of her eyes. While he was dying, he took the name of Sarah. He asks her to tell him someone who can talk about 𝐊𝐿dr, to which she says Ilias. He is the only villager who lives in 𝐊𝐿dr. Later, he calls someone to know about the number 7175, who tells him he is not sure, but will email some pictures to him. Now he somehow convinces Ebru to go with him to 𝐊𝐿dr village where they see the number 7175 outside a house, and meanwhile, we see many handprints appearing on her car's windshield. Here 𝐸𝐸 notices that the village is huge and wonders why did all those people abandon this place. Only then do they hear some strange noises and walk towards that side. He says there must be a reason, and only then Ebru notices something all black run past behind him and ran inside a house. 𝐸𝐸 goes inside that house and she sets up her camera on the window and films something jumping inside. He then comes out and they begin searching for Ilias and finally manage to find his house. Inside they find the same shepherd they saw on the road, who says he knows why they are here. He reveals that the sins of Bill and Ramsey cursed the entire village, which Ebru gets shocked as Ramsey is her father. Ilias elaborates that the two were poor but greedy men who sought the help of jinns for finding treasures. On finding it, they killed the jinn and buried it, but it came back and haunted Kübra. He then shows him a photo album having photos of deformed children and animals, and tells him that this is what happened to the people of 𝐊𝐿dr. Bill and Ramsey have some of the treasure to the villagers, causing them to get cursed as well. 𝐸𝐸 and Ebru ask how he knows all this, to which he reveals his wife told him about this. They ask about where she is, and he tells she is right here, watching all of them, revealing that his wife isn't human, but a jinn named 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿. Suddenly the lights in the room go off, and 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 leads 𝐸𝐸 to a room, where he finds a deformed kid with only one eye on his forehead, and as his vision goes blurred, 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 appears in front of him. 𝐸𝐸 runs out, and Ilias says 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 wants them to leave as she is afraid of 𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐿 jinns, and they can harm them because they are talking to them. 𝐸𝐸 asks why, to which he says because he killed one of them. Now on the way to their car, they find handprints on the road, and Ebru gets mad seeing them all over her car. They then leave there, and he tells her that in order to lift the curse, they need to dig out the jinn from where it's buried, wrap it in a blessed shroud, and bury it somewhere else. They then dig out that jinn, but he asks Ebru not to film him while he is burying the jinn. After a while, when he returns after burying the jinn, a jinn again appears in front of them. Farouk tries to talk to them and tell the clan that he has given them Sarah's dead body back. She is now below the ground with a clean body and asks them to stop haunting innocent Kübra. The jinn says something in another language and he tells Ebru that the jinns are gone. They then return home and Ebru thanks Farouk for his cooperation, but only then Esra and Rafika come there and tell Farouk that Ilyas just called and want him to come there quickly or Kübra will die. Rafika asks Ebru to stay with Kübra as she is so scared and Farouk leaves alone. Later, when Esra is in her room, she notices something stinging her since morning, and when he checks her bra, she gets terrified to find a magical element in it. She shows it to the camera saying she doesn't know what it means, but there are pictures of Kübra and her on it. She says she is scared, that is why she must use a hidden camera from now on. Here Farouk gets a call from his friend Hidayat. The friend explains that 7175 is an ancient code originating from the Muslim tradition that believes Jesus wasn't killed but instead saved by Allah and lives on to this day. The number 7175 in Arabic numerals are written as 7170, which, if read in Latin, spell vivo. The word means I am alive and is used by jinns to signal they aren't dead. Upon the shocking revelation, Farouk realizes Sarah wasn't killed by Kübra and Ebru's father, but buried alive, which means he repeated the same deed as the last time. His thoughts are interrupted by a frightened, injured Ilyas banging on his car's window. Farouk hurries out and Ilyas yells at him why he did that to Sarah, for his wife has been captured by Sarah's clan in revenge. Ebru, on the other hand, enters Kübra's room as she sees Kübra in black clothes and a completely disfigured face, possessed completely by Sarah. She screams and tries to escape but is suddenly trapped and beaten by Kübra's mother and sister. Ilyas on the other side reveals to Farouk that it was all a trap set to lure Ebru back to this village. There is absolutely no way to get rid of Sarah, however, she could be passed from one body to another. Hence, Kübra's family planned to save her daughter and make Ebru suffer for her father's deeds. As Ilyas also is captured by the jinns of Sarah's clan, Farouk rushes back only to find the house empty and Kübra's aunt killed by her mother and sister. Panicking, he drives to the cursed tree, yelling Ebru's name when he is suddenly hit by someone and thrown into a well. He looks up to see the cunning faces of Kübra's mother and sister and asks them if don't they fear God. But they throw stones on him to kill him. An injured Ebru tries to plead and get up but is unable to do so. She is buried alive alongside several live snakes and after desperate cries for help, she starts to choke when suddenly the screen cuts to black, leaving her fate uncertain. It is revealed in the credits that the film is based on a true story. Farouk was rescued by the villagers the next morning, but the injuries to his head caused him amnesia. People tried to find Ebru and rescue her as well but she was never found. Kübra's family estate had been sold before Ebru and Farouk had arrived, hence after burying Ebru, the whole family escaped the village that night. They haven't been found to this day.